Friends, Cowboy Joe Boo here with the Joe Boo Report. By now, I'm sure you heard about the dust-up on Twitter between Dez Bryant and Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless, on his new show, said that Dez Bryant should understand that the Dallas Cowboys are better off without him. Dez Bryant came back and said he's no fan and backed it up with the tweet that he had from 2009. Well, today, on Undisputed, Skip Bayless tries to explain. Get this. He says it's because of T.O. and Jessica Simpson. Say what? Jessica Simpson? How did that get into the argument right there? Well, as always, thanks for watching the Joe Boo Report. Click subscribe. Let's go to the tape.
Dez Bryant worked out at practice for the first time yesterday since missing 2 games with a knee injury. Bryant was limited in practice, but he was busy on social media. A fan tweeted at Dez about our show yesterday, where Skip said the Cowboys no longer revolve around Dez. Dez tweeted back at the fan, "Thank you, bro. Never thought that once. Always dreamed of a family and family feel, and we have it. Skip is not a real Cowboy fan. #bandwagon." A few hours later, Dez tweeted Skip again, showing a tweet from 2009 where Skip said, "I am not a Cowboys fan." And Dez says, "Slow down, brother. I said it because you said it." Finally, Dez tweeted, "For the record, none of the bad media really bothers me. I like to be real, and also I'm a human who just loves life with a passion." Skip, what's your reaction to Dez?
I have 2 big reactions, so you're gonna have to give me just a moment to express myself. I believe what I said on yesterday's show stung Dez Bryant, maybe even hit a nerve. At least I hope it hit a nerve. And it compelled him to lash back at me and make it personal, make it about me instead of about Dez. That disappointed me. But I'm going to reiterate what I said yesterday. In 2014, you could not have found a bigger Dez Bryant fan than this guy sitting in this chair. On my old show, repeatedly through 2014, I threw up the X on Cowboy Monday after Cowboy Monday. He was my favorite Cowboy that year. But we all know in the opener this year, he dropped a touchdown pass in a game that wound up 20-19 Giants at Jerry World. And then came the ESPN report that Dez Bryant had missed up to 40 meetings in his career, been late to them or missed them or missed injury treatments. And obviously, after he hurt his knee, he went AWOL for about 3 days, and they couldn't find him, didn't hear from him. And I was very disappointed by that, because obviously Dez Bryant had been spoiled, rotten, and allowed to get away with this for years on end by his owner, Jerry Jones. So I thought it was the greatest thing that could have happened to Dez Bryant that the Cowboys went to San Francisco and won without him, and came home and beat Cincinnati without him. And they showed Dez, I hoped, that the new Cowboys don't have to revolve around the old Dez Bryant. The new Cowboys need a new Dez Bryant, one who's recommitted to showing up on time for meetings, as Shannon Sharpe always showed up in time for, and recommitting to the whole process of being about team instead of about Dez. And I'm hoping that Dez could sort of wise up, shape up, grow up, and see what was happening without him, and want to be part of what could happen even to a greater extent with him. So Dez Bryant lashed back at me yesterday, questioning my Cowboy fandom, whether I'm a bandwagon fan, which is actually irrelevant to this whole topic, but I'm going to address it. Obviously, as I've told you repeatedly, I grew up a Dallas Cowboy fan. I was in Oklahoma City, which is Dallas Cowboy country. It's the only pro team in that region, so everybody in Oklahoma City grows up, for the most part, a Cowboy fan. And I talked my parents into taking me to my first Cowboy game in the Cotton Bowl in 1961 on November 5th. The St. Louis Cardinals, they were then St. Louis, went into the Cotton Bowl and beat what was still an expansion team with Eddie LeBaron at quarterback 31-17, and I was hooked. And on my old show for the last 12 years, I repeatedly talked about my Cowboy fandom. But I also always underscored it with the fact that I'm an objective Cowboy fan. Maybe that's an oxymoron to most people, that objective and fan don't go in the same phrase together.
Especially with Cowboys.
Well, that's true. But I can be harshly objective, maybe over-objective at times. You haven't seen it yet because we haven't had that moment yet. Maybe we'll have it next Monday. I don't know. but I tend to overreact emotionally one way or the other. Way to go, or how dare you? And there was a period, as everybody knew from the TV show, over 3 years, where I made it very clear I'm no longer driving the bandwagon. I'm on the bandwagon. This was during a period on Twitter back in 2009, 7 years ago, when I was still making the mistake that I believe too many the reactions you get on Twitter and responding to the reactions. So in the context of that tweet, I was saying I'm not a fan of this Cowboy team. I had made that abundantly clear on television, and in 140 characters, that fact is lost in that tweet. Though I appreciate whoever dredged it up, I get all that. But the point was, remember, the 3 previous years to that, Jerry Jones had the audacity to go out and get the one player I despised. You know how I felt about Team Obliterator, Terrell Owens, and I felt like he had wrecked the Dallas Cowboys. I was also very down in that period on Tony Romo because of his tumultuous relationship with Jessica Simpson, which I thought was affecting his ability to focus and dedicate himself to playing quarterback. So soon after that tweet in 2009, Tony Romo, it's just before actually, Tony had broken up with Jessica. And he started to play better. And I started to drive the bandwagon down the stretch because...
Didn't he just describe himself as a bandwagon fan there? He was on and off, on, off. By definition, that is a bandwagon, Skip.
Would you believe they actually won a playoff game at the end of that year?
Skip, that's unfair. You put that on Jessica Simpson.
Okay. I did. And he did too. And he talked about it later. It was just tumultuous. And it was always one thing after another off the field. I talked about it on air constantly, and I can back it up. And I think he knew that it was wrong, and it was just, he had to pay too much attention off the field, and he was not dedicating himself to the process of playing NFL quarterback. As you know, it's all or nothing at that position.
Absolutely.
So the point was that they did win a playoff game. Then they went up to Minnesota and got annihilated by Brett Favre's Minnesota Vikings. But again, I will drive the bandwagon when it's time to drive it. I will criticize when it's time to criticize. In this case, with Dez Bryant, it's time to criticize. I think you're pretty much with me on this. Dez Bryant has been a little out of control in the middle of the Dallas Cowboys. And I hope he gets right mentally and physically and comes back. I would love to see him catch the winning touchdown pass back at the scene of the crime this Sunday at Green Bay.
Well, to me, it sounds like it's all a rating stunt. Because, you know, controversy sells. Because, believe it or not, here I am now checking out his show. I'm Cowboy Joe Boo with the Joe Boo Report.